Hello everyone! I haven't really gotten a chance to talk to you guys since I've started my channel, so I just want to do that really quickly before we begin the stories. I want to thank everyone who has subscribed or interacted with me in any way. It means so much to have your support. If you would like to send me stories, please feel free. I'm still a very small channel, so now is the time, as I will probably be able to consider every story sent. My email is in the description box below. Next, I want to thank a few YouTubers specifically. To start, I want to thank Deadly Horror 101. He was one of the first people to reach out to me when I started my channel, and we've become fast friends. Next, I want to give a huge thank you to Mr. Deepweb for having me collab on his channel. He's pretty big on here, and it was truly an honor to be picked to collab with him. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much it meant to me. I also want to thank Unit 522 for taking the time to answer a message I sent him about an editing program. I'm using a better program now thanks to you. Next, I want to thank Southern Cannibal for interacting with me on Twitter. And finally, I want to thank Mr. ScaryPasta for submitting the following stories. They are originals written by him, and I'm very excited that he chose me to read them. The link to his channel, as well as all the other channels I mentioned, will be linked in the description box down below. Make sure to check them out. Stay creepy. Hi, my name is... Actually, since I'm very paranoid about the internet, I won't be using my real name, so please just call me Nick. When I was 3 years old, I lived in a nice house. It was small but fairly livable, minus my family having to pay a lot of money for it. Anyways, I was 3 years old and I loved living in that house with my family. However, I was a very active child and misbehaved a lot. So, every night before bed, my mother would tell me scary stories to get me to behave and go to sleep. I remember one story in particular being about a demon who eats children that behave badly. I'm not entirely sure if the demon was supposed to be the boogeyman or not, but still, the story scared me a lot to the point where I couldn't sleep and started to hear noises. One night, however, I started hearing a clawing sound coming from outside of my bedroom window. The noise just kept getting louder and louder to the point where I just wanted to go open my window to see what was making the noise. I did just that, and to this day, I wish I hadn't opened that window, because once I did, I saw something I'll never forget. There, standing right in front of my window, was a massive demonic-looking creature. At the time, I didn't know what it was because I was only 3 and I didn't know about demons and the paranormal yet. Nowadays, when I think about the creature, I can only describe it as looking like a cross between the xenomorph alien from the Alien movies and a goat. To this day, it still haunts me in my mind, never leaving me. As I looked at the creature, it began to crawl into the window and enter my room. I tried to open the door and get help, but some force kept the door from opening. I was trapped in my room with this thing. I began to cry out for my parents, but they couldn't hear me. I stood there, terrified, as the demonic creature stared at me for only a few short seconds before charging at me, causing me to black out. I don't know what happened, and I'd rather not know. But for some strange reason, I've been able to see the paranormal ever since. My body is now a spiritual gate. I can see the past, present, and future as well. I'm not sure if this is a gift or a curse. I just don't know anymore. For years, I've spent my life obsessed with the paranormal. I've even seen my share of ghosts and supernatural creatures. I don't care if you think I'm crazy because I know what I saw, and I know the supernatural does exist. Even at my old house, I knew there were ghosts there too. I'm glad we moved out of there because there's no telling what kind of supernatural creatures were there, demonic or not. So maybe one day you'll understand how I feel and what I've been going through when you experience the supernatural for yourself. I know I'll never forget my experience and it will haunt me for the rest of my life. This ability to sense and see the supernatural, this gift, this curse. I don't really know what to call it, but I do know one thing. I must accept it, even if it means dealing with whatever has followed me home. Hi guys, my name is Dennis. I have a story to tell you. It's very important you listen to me if you don't want to end up like me or so many others before me, who have had the same fate, or worse. Okay, here's where my story begins. I was at home, doing some urban legend research, just for fun, when all of a sudden I heard my iPad beep and go off. It was making the sound it makes whenever I receive emails from people. I put down my tablet and decided to check what the email was. I went to my email account and read the email. The email subject title read, "Smile, my dog, smile." I scrolled down to see what was written in the message box, and to my surprise, it was a set of instructions numbered from 1 to 5. I read all the directions carefully. Step 1. Go into your living room at night, but wait until you're either alone and no one is in your house, or everyone else is asleep. Step 2. Sit down on a couch or sofa and close your eyes. Step 3. Chant the words, "Smile, my dog, smile." Step 4. Wait until you hear, "Spread the word." Step 5. Open your eyes and one of two things will happen to you. Either it will vanish after speaking to you, or it will be standing right in front of you. After reading the email, I began to wonder what "it" meant. What does the last part of the email mean by "it"? At first, I brushed it off as just some random prank, and I ignored what was written in the email. However, curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to read the email again. This time, I decided to follow the steps and instructions on the email. I did everything the email told me to do. After that, I waited a while, and nothing happened. Nothing but spam. I deleted the email and put it in the trash. I looked at the time on my computer and saw it was very late. Fuck, it's 1 o'clock a.m. I ran up the stairs and into my bedroom. Before going to bed, I turned off my tablet and iPad. I fell asleep relatively quickly, but was awoken by a loud crash coming from the living room. Holy shit, what was that? I opened my bedroom door and ran into the living room. I peeked my eye through the tiny lock hole and saw something. It was a huge, shadowy figure walking around the living room. I could see it now, walking towards the living room door, and I was frozen in fear. I could see the shadowy figure through the crack under the door, and I cried silently. I closed my eyes and prayed that whatever was standing on the other side of the door would go away. When I opened my eyes, the shadow was gone, and I felt a sigh of relief, but this wouldn't last long. The next day it happened again, but this time the shadowy figure didn't leave. Instead, I felt something on the other side of the door banging against the door, and I knew whatever it was on the other side of the door wasn't going to leave like the night before. I began to cry and weep very quietly. Then everything went silent, and the banging stopped. I looked under the door and saw the shadowy figure was still there. That's when I heard the voice speak to me. "Hello, Dennis," said the voice in a very deep and almost demonic tone. "Who are you and how do you know my name?" I replied nervously with fear in my voice. "Open the door and find out," the voice said. I opened the door, and to this day, I wish I hadn't. Standing right in front of me was a massive dog with the most evil-looking smile I'd ever seen. Who are you? What are you?" I asked, staring eye to eye with the massive dog. He simply responded with, "I am SmileDog." Before I could ask him any more questions, he ran off and out the door. That night was the worst sleep I'd ever had. I kept hearing the SmileDog speaking to me in my dreams, and he always said, "Spread the word." I woke up the next morning exhausted from the lack of sleep and a bit confused by what SmileDog had been telling me. Spread the word? I had no idea what the heck all that meant, but I didn't care. I chose to ignore the words and just continue with the rest of my day. Boy, was that a mistake. Later that day, when I returned home from my daily activities, I fell asleep on the couch, and that's when things went to hell. I found myself back in my dream from the night before, but this time, the SmileDog was actually in it. All I could see was that damn face, that demonic smile. There was nothing I could do to escape from the nightmare I was having. I was frozen in fear and under the will of that evil dog. That's when SmileDog spoke to me with anger in his voice and said, "Spread the word." He began growling and howling demonically as he charged towards me, about to attack. I closed my eyes and looked away and woke up back on the couch. I panicked and started to look around my living room for any signs of the SmileDog, but it wasn't anywhere in sight. Now, every time I sleep, all I can see is the face of that dog. I don't know what else to do. If you find yourself in my situation, all you can do is try and run and hide. But if you do, SmileDog will find you. Please help me. I don't know what else to do. I can't keep this up for long. If you find me, then please help me. Wait, hang on. I can hear something outside of my door. Spread the word.